Hey everybody, welcome back. David Eon, the lovely Miss Lady Pop Hunter, and the ever-present, omnipotent Miss Kitty here, who has just this very second jumped up on LPH's lap because she just has to be in the shot.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Her hind end, anyway.
Yeah, her hind end. You can see her tail section. But anyways... Welcome back, and today we are talking about the age-old question, and actually it's not that old because they haven't been doing this but for a couple of decades. To slab or not to slab.
To grade or not to grade.
To grade or not to grade.
Yep.
Yeah. And the reason we're talking about it is because there's a lot of back and forth about that in the comic collecting community. There's like a handful, there's like 3 basic stands on it, but certain proponents are very staunch in their opinions to the point where they just got to cram it down your throat. And before we even get going with the discussion, bottom line, they're your comics. Do whatever you want with them.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's just like with toy collecting, in the box versus out of the box. It's all about preference.
Yeah.
You know, is your preference to take all of your toys out of the box? Is your preference to grade every single one of your books? It's 100% up to you.
Yeah.
Nobody can say what's right and wrong because there is no right or wrong in that, I think. In that, there's no right and wrong.
And of course, that depends on who you talk to. Because there are people that, like I said, they got a bucket and a spoon, a bucket full of ideas, and they will spoon feed you until you burst. They try to cram their ideas into your head because they like something or don't like something. And most often it's when they don't like something that they just will not let it go. And you see a lot of that in not just, obviously, toy collecting, but a lot of it in comic collecting as well. And the whole reasoning behind grading in the first place, and the reason why it's not going anywhere, it's not just going to stop one day, and everybody's like, oh, well, you know, they'll get over this grading fad. It's not going anywhere because that mediation is kind of needed. A third party authentication, and the reason they slab it is so it can't be tampered with after a grade has been set. So if you ever wanted to trade it, sell it, or insure it, you need to be positive about the value. And that was the whole purpose behind it, and that's why it's not going anywhere. Because I can sit there and I can say that this is a 4.5, and I'm trying to sell it to you, and you'll be like, no, I think that's a 2.5. You see what I'm saying? And then we have a problem. Slab it, there's no more problem. That problem is solved. So if I wanted to sell it, trade it, or like I said, even insure this book, then I can do that. I can get it encapsulated, and the argument is finished. And that's why this is so important and so popular. Another reason why it's so popular is because many people who collect are really only interested in the covers. And this is not a new thing. Way back in the day, in even the early 90s, there was a guy that used to go into New England Comics when I used to work with them. And he didn't read the books at all. He would go in and he'd look, and if something caught his eye, he'd buy it, but he didn't read the books. He said so. He was like, he's just looking for something with a really striking cover, and he would buy like a little picture frame and put the comic in there. That's what he was doing. And for some people, that's all this is. You know, we'll show you a couple of things here in a minute. It's just an opportunity to showcase the artwork. Yeah. And like her, this belongs to LPH. This is Shredder in Hell #1, and that is the Virgin cover variant. Shredder #1. Shredder Goes to Hell. And for some people, Maybe they don't want to read this. And this is just a good way to showcase it. But you don't have to get it slabbed. Because there's something to be said also for having books raw and open. Especially older books.
Yeah.
Because the newer books are made out of different material. Now, I've heard a lot of people say this, and I kind of agree with that myself, that you have the older, anything prior to the 2000s, pretty much, or the very late 90s, when they changed the paper, that there's a feel and a smell to it.
Yeah.
And those older books, they've got that pulp kind of a smell. And there's something about that that kind of brings you back.
Mm-hmm.
Newer books are made out of like that plastic paper, like that they make magazines out of. It's like the same. There's a plastic in it, or some type of vinyl.
Like this book right here is a new book. Just came out in 2022, and it has that new paper that, like you said, magazine.
Yeah, it's like a magazine
style paper, not the newspaper.
Yeah.
Like the old books had.
So there is an odor to those old books that if you grew up with comics, that
or magazines or old books.
Yeah, that a younger generation now that's into collecting may not appreciate as much because they never experienced that smell or that texture, and so they don't get it as well as we do, you could say.
Yeah.
But if that's your bag, that's fine. You know, that's one of the arguments actually of people who are against slabbing a book, is that, oh, well, comic books are meant to be read. Well, yeah, it's a story, but you don't have to read it to appreciate it.
Yeah, because you can just appreciate the artwork, the cover, and that can be the end of the road for you.
Yeah.
You can buy all of these different books, have this huge collection just because you like to look at the art. And that's you. That's what you collect for.
Yeah. Or maybe you want to have everything slabbed.
Yeah.
You know, or you enjoy collecting it. You've read the story, but you want to have a really well-preserved copy, like Thor 337 here. First Beta Ray Bill. I've read this story, and I've got a really high grade slabbed. And this is a book I worked on. And for me, in some sense, there's some pride in that, because I took this book and it really wasn't even a 9 candidate when I started working on it. And I pressed this thing 4 or 5 times and cleaned it and everything, and I pulled a 9.8 out of it. So, you know, that's a demonstration of the quality of my work. Plus, it's a first appearance of a character I like, and I've read the story, and I've got my own copy that I read and worked on slabbed. And some people do that. There's a lot of people that do their own work. Some people send it in, although quite frankly, a lot of the people who send books in, we watch videos on the subject, they seem to all complain about it. They think that CGC or CBCS did a crap job of slabbing their book.
Yeah, and I saw a guy, his video.
Or, I'm sorry, cleaning and pressing, I mean. They think that CGC does a terrible job.
I saw a video, and the guy, his whole goal is to get Green Lantern 1 through 100 graded in a 9.8. And that's all he wants to do. He wants to get every single one of those books in a 9.8. So he'll buy them, send them in. If they don't get a 9.8, he sells them. And buy it again, get until he gets a 9.8, and he want to do that from 1 to 100. Then when he get to 100, I guess he'll move on to the next set of books. But you know, there's several reasons. Another reason that you can grade a book is to preserve it, because it's an older book like this one.
Yeah.
That's a real old book. And you want to say, you know what, I don't want it to get any more damage. So I'm going to send it in so that it can get encapsulated to preserve it. And I understand that, and I'm in agreement with that, especially if it's an old book like that. It's of high value, and you don't want to take the risk of the corners bending, or it might get some moisture, or you might drop it, or something like that.
Yeah, and that's my intention with this one. I found this at a show. I think it was the Legion.
I think so.
Yeah, the Legion comic show. And this is Batman 54 from 1949. It's pre-code. And I have read it. I read it, and I cleaned and pressed it. And improved it because it had some wrinkles. It had some rolling. The color saturation is still really good on it. And it's got actually bright white pages, which is surprising for the time period. And so now, to make sure nothing else happens to it, I would like to get that encapsulated. So get it graded just to preserve it, keep it safe.
Because I know when I started, I had an idea, like I have some books here. And I said, okay, I got some books, and they're important to me. Are they worth a lot? Probably not. But I wanted to get them graded because they're important to me. They're number ones. And, I just want to keep them preserved. But then, I started looking at them. I started reading it, and I really like it.
Yeah.
And once you put it in this case, that's it.
Yeah.
It's no coming out unless you break it. And if you break it, you defeated the whole purpose.
Yeah, you got to start over.
Yeah. So what I started doing is like this one. It's in a top loader. And then the book is in a bag. And for me, that's good enough. I got double protection here. I got a backing board. I got it in a Mylar bag. And the Mylar bag is in a top loader. I can take it out when I want. I can read it again. Some books are good, and you just like, man, I want to read that story again, Or I just want to flip through it and look at the advertisement, because some of the advertising is very funny.
The ads are fun.
Yeah, and you might. So you say, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to hold it, take it out, look through it. But you just have to make up your mind on your plan of action. What am I going to do? Am I going to grade it, or am I going to just take it, buy some backing boards, buy Mylar or polyurethane bags, and put it in a top loader, or just doing it this way is good enough? You got to make those decisions. What is your end goal here? What do you want to accomplish with your collection? Your collection.
Yeah, your collection, not everyone else. They didn't pay for it. They didn't buy it for you, did they?
No.
I'm going to buy these for you under the conditions that you promised to never slab it. But, and another alternative also is that you might get a high grade of something and slab it and have a reader copy.
Yeah.
That's just a grade that's so low it's not even worth bothering with to have on the side.
Yeah. And I saw another video, because I watch a lot of videos on YouTube, and this one guy, he collects books, and he takes them. If he gets it in the slab, he will take it out and put it in a Mylar bag and put this in the bag with it.
Yeah. And he's got a lot of that's the guy with all the pre-code horror stuff, right? Yeah. So he's busting open expensive books.
Yes.
Because he'll buy them in the highest grade he can find.
Yeah. And take it out and put it in bags and boards. And on the back of the thing, like right here, he got the insert, from the CGC or PGX or wherever he got it from. And, when he's showing it, when he flips it over, he doesn't show you that, but you can always see it.
You can see the slip.
And I asked, I was like, what is that about? And they said, that's what he does.
Yeah.
That's his thing. He buys it. He'll buy it loose or raw copy, but if he finds one that's graded, it doesn't matter what the grade is. He's going to take it out of that case and put it in a bag and put the grade in there with it.
Yeah.
And that's his whole thing. And that's on him. That's his money. That's what he wants to do. That's how he likes it. That's 100% on him.
Yeah, I think what irritates a lot of people in who are against the grading is how it drives the price.
Yeah.
But that's primarily because it's a guarantee of that value. But I think they mix up people who typically buy, sell, trade with people who do speculation. Mm-hmm. Like this one right now, I pulled this one out on purpose because anything Man-Thing is hot right now because he had like a small appearance in Werewolf by Night. And so everybody's like, oh, Man-Thing. And suddenly they remember Man-Thing. And suddenly everything that he's in is like 3-4 times as valuable as it was.
Yeah, because I was buying Man-Thing. You couldn't get $15 for a Man-Thing book.
Yeah. And now the prices are all up. And this is the second. There's two runs of Man-Thing. Mm-hmm. And the first one went from like selling around $70, $80 raw copies to $250, $300. Like in a day. Yeah. Literally, because we went to, what was it? The Atlanta Comic Convention was only a day or two after that aired. Mm-hmm. And suddenly they're closing in on $300 for that book loose and not even in the best shape. Yeah. So just an average copy went from $80 to almost $300 overnight. And so graded copies, like if I wanted to sell this right now, I could probably get some decent money for it, with the knowledge that, because I warn people about that all the time, I don't like speccing on books too much. I could probably buy it back for a third of what I could make for this right now in 6 or 7 months, or something like that. But there's a lot of people who do that, and it drives prices up and down. We're seeing it with She-Hulk now, actually. Because the books, the She-Hulk has really bottomed out. Even the sensational, not sensational She-Hulk, Savage She-Hulk, the 70s edition, because the show is so unfavorable, there's so many people who don't like it, that it's driving the market down. So it had a big spike because everyone's, She-Hulk's going to get a show, and the price just went nuts. And now, guess what? Like the majority of their shows recently, unfortunately. Yeah, it's tanking. Now it's on the bottom end of that roller coaster. And when all of that blows away, which it will, because eventually it'll go away, it'll come back up again and level off to where it should be. Mm-hmm. And so I don't like I don't buy and sell like that anyway. Mm-hmm. So, and I can see where people don't like that because it blows up the value of a book and then it just dies. And people, I think a lot of times they're angry because they ended up overpaying. Yeah, because you bought on the upswing. Yeah. And instead of waiting it out. Yeah. And then, why did you buy it? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If you only buying the book for speculation, why are you buying it? You understand what I'm saying? You buying it. And that's fine if you just want to invest. If you're thinking of it like the stock market, I mean that's your money. Yeah, but that's true. But I see why, like you were alluding to, that can be irritating to people who genuinely love the hobby. Well, the part that bothers me with it, I buy raw books. That's what I look for. Mm-hmm. That's what I want. I don't want you trying to sell me this book. I know where you're going. Yeah. At a graded price. That's when I get upset. This book is raw. Mm-hmm. You got on the thing, I did my own grading. I'm a great grader. And I graded as a 5. Mm-hmm. Okay, whatever.
It's not this is not in a case, and this case doesn't say that this book is a 5.
Yeah.
This book is raw. You can say whatever you want to. You sell it to me as a raw book. Don't sell it to me like it's in this case over here. And then I can look up a 9.8 on the computer or on my phone and see, okay, I can go to the Comic Collect or whatever
Comics
website.
Price Guide, eBay sales.
And see, okay, this week 9/8 in this book is going for this price. Oh, okay, yeah, that's a fair price, you know. But
that's another topic of discussion. That's something we can talk about in the future. But I totally, not trying to cut you off.
Yeah.
But I totally understand that argument, and that's something that a lot of retailers do. A lot of these comic retailers,
especially in the store, because I've been to some stores, and they have a book they wanting to sell is raw for $60. Look it up on eBay. And the highest one is $25.
Yeah.
With tax and shipping.
But they've graded it. And they're comping their grade off of graded value. But graded value and raw value are not the same.
No.
That's why you get a third party to grade it. And you cannot rely on, no matter how good they tell you they are, because, oh man, they will tell you how great their grading skills are, believe me.
And I grade harder than CGC.
Lie. You remember that one guy at the show too? He had that weird science fantasy. I forget what number it was. If I'm thinking of the right title. And he said, "Oh yeah, I got that one graded at a 3." And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, "Really?"
And it's falling apart.
Yeah,
the page, the cover is coming off.
Yeah, because I will, if I'm interested in a book and it's raw, I'll ask him, "Hey, do you mind if I take a look at this?" And I'll take it out and I'll flip through it. I want to make sure everything's there, see if there's any defects or whatever. Is the centerfold attached? This thing was so raggedy, and they call a rough book a rag. It was so much of a rag, I was afraid to take it out. I was like, you know what? I don't want to open this one. I didn't open it. I did not want to open it. I was afraid that sucker was going to fall apart in my hands. I was like, this is not a 3. And had it priced like 30% above what a 3 would cost graded. You see what I mean? But that's what they do. They take their books and they're like, oh, this is and again, like I said, we could do a whole separate video on this subject. They have a book and they price it, but again, a price, and I know these aren't the same book, but you get the idea just for demonstration purposes. If a raw value is, or if it graded, like let's say these are both 9.8. This is graded a 9.8. Let's just say, because I don't know what this one's worth. Let's just say 9.8. It's $200. If this one you think it's a 9.8 because you say it is because you're a grader, does it mean that this is worth $200 also?
No,
it's not. And if you look in any category where they have prices, they've got 2 sets of prices now, raw and graded, for a reason. Because until it's verified, it's speculative.
Yeah.
You're sitting there telling me this is also a 9.8, but turns out it's actually a 9.4. You see what I'm saying? You don't know for sure. You can guess, but then, there's a difference between raw and graded price for a reason. And a lot of these dealers don't seem to understand it. Now you got me going. It is. It's a big problem. It is a problem.
Yeah, and it's annoying. And then they sit there and tell you how CGC wanted to hire them and all kind of stuff. Nobody wanted to hire you to do nothing.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to what we're talking about: to grade or not to grade.
I should have used this.
Oh yeah, use that one.
Because she's got.
I have the
she
main
has
thing,
a loose man thing here.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got her. See, raw and graded, and I can look at this and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's a 9.8 too. I want $300 for it." And it's like, and if it is, let's say it is a 9.8, should you pay $300 for it and it's not certified? That's the argument.
Yeah. So, yeah, to grade or not to grade. I mean, I like the way the graded books look when they're on the wall or
Yeah.
in a case or whatever. I like that. I like that it's more protected when you put it in your box, because you don't have to put it together, because you should store it face to face like this.
Yeah, that is safer. Then you don't get that curling on the edge.
So then when you're looking in your box, you want to see something. Now you got to pull out one. It's a little more work, but it's a reason.
That's also why sometimes on the backs, if you ever notice, sometimes on the backs is something written up here.
Yeah.
That's why people do that, so that they'll write on the back of this to show what book it is while it's in there in order.
Yeah. So I like that the storing of it is easier. It takes up a little more space than a non-graded book, but you can see it better. It displays better. I do like that, but again, my thing, I like the raw books because I want to be able to take them out when I'm ready. I want to be able to read them. Some of them I want to read again. I've read a few already that I'm like, okay, I don't even want to finish this. But others, you're like, oh man, this is a good one. I'll reread this.
Yeah.
Or you just like flipping through and looking at the pictures inside. So it's like with anything else that you do or collect, or like anything, it's all about like technique. It's all about your preference, your likes, your dislikes. It's all about that kind of thing. How do you wanna have your collection? How do you want to display your collection?
Yeah. And personally, myself, and I guess that goes for both of us, we like both. Either we like having them raw, we like having slabbed books too. There are some people, and this is where I notice an interesting contrast, there are some people who think everything should be slabbed, but they're usually, they have this attitude of, oh, that's what I like. But the ones who don't like slabbing at all can't just accept that for themselves. A lot of them, not everybody, but a lot of them, they get very vocal about that, and they'll try to run you down because, oh my God, I can't believe you would bother to slab a book. It's just a waste of money and blah blah. And it's like, well, dude, you're not paying for it, so relax. Tone it down a notch. And again, like I said, not everybody's like that, but there was a lot of them are more vocal than the other two groups about that, about their preference. And then even within where I've seen a conflict with people who like the grading as a preference, have an issue between each other for which company they use. Then that's a weird conflict. Like right here, you saw this Alien Worlds, you might have noticed that's actually a PGX graded. I don't care. I wanted a slabbed copy of this Alien Worlds. I think they only had, oh God, I would remember, like maybe 6 or 8 issues. It might have been 8, but the artwork is fantastic, and it's a great homage to the old like golden atomic age covers. Alien Worlds had some from Pacific Comics, had some great covers, and I got a really good price on this one. But you know what? A CGC collector will tell me I'm a damn fool. I've actually had people comment on this channel. I've had people get mad at me for even showing a PGX book while I'm having a conversation like this. They're like, what kind of idiot are you that you even own a PGX book unsubbed? Stuff like that, just rude stuff.
Yeah, they would probably never sub the first time.
And it's like, what? Yeah, I know. People just like saying that. Like they're going to influence people. Oh, what? He unsubbed. Maybe I should too. Sure, buddy.
Oh my God, let me get rid of it and go to CGC.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Like, I care what you think. But they are and arguing like between, if you have CBCS books instead of CGC, or if you're a CBCS collector or a PGX collector, and you're like, oh, you're a fool because you pay way too much because CGC is more expensive than the other grading companies. Idiot. Stuff like that. They have this weird these weird arguments that they have between each other about which company is better. And the funny thing is, you know, I don't know what happened with PGX when they first got started. And I said that, I mentioned that PGX had a bad rap in a video a couple of weeks ago, and somebody got on me for that. They're like, oh, really? But I don't know what happened to them back in the day. But, I mean, I know or knew somebody who used to bust open high-end PGX books and send them into CGC without altering them. He didn't clean or press them and get the same freaking grades back. We saw a video a couple weeks back. It was a guy with Fantastic Four #1. He bought, I think it was a 2 or a 2.5. PGX graded, busted the slab, sent it to CGC, and got the exact same grade back. So, I mean, they're not that far off. And it's whatever your preference is.
It's like iPhone versus Android.
Yeah, what's the difference? And they will argue about that. Personally, I don't care. I think most of the ones I have are CGC.
Yeah.
But if I come across an inexpensive PGX or CVCS, I'll take it.
One I saw on a channel. This guy I like. He comic person, and he has his books. And he puts them in Mylar bags. If it's a modern, all his books goes in silver Mylar bags, silver age book Mylar bags, and silver backing boards.
So they're wider than the books.
Yeah,
much wider.
And people were getting on him because the board and the bag were bigger than the book. And he addressed it. He was like, yes, I do that on purpose because, one, the book is not going to move around. Because they were like, oh, the book is going to move around. You're going to damage the book. No. He likes to have the extra room so when he takes the book in and out of the bag, it doesn't pinch up the corners. And it doesn't flop around in there.
Yeah.
But people get on you. Oh, you use polyurethane bags instead of Mylar bags. Blah. You know, it's like, what do you care? Like you buy me the bags.
This would be considered the wrong size.
Yeah.
But so?
Yeah. I like it
so
like
what?
that because it does give you more room when you're trying to get the books in and out. Now, if you say, oh, I ain't never taking the book out of the bag, okay, then it doesn't matter. Yeah. I take them out. I read them. I put them back in when I'm done. If I'm not finished reading, I'll take it back out. You know.
Drop that tight fitting, drop your form fitting one on the floor and have it crunch the corner and see how you act.
And he also brought that up as a reasoning too, because he was like, you know, if you hit this corner, now you have space between the corner of the corner of the book and the actual board, so you got that protection. And it made sense, and I'm like, oh man, that make a lot of sense. I would do that. So when I'm gonna buy bags and boards, I'm gonna get the silver age bags and boards to put my books in so they have the room.
Yeah.
But people get on you, and that's just the thing. It doesn't matter what you do. Somebody's gonna complain because that's their whole goal in life. They were birthed to complain.
Yeah. They don't know how to shut it down.
And we saw it.
You can do no right.
Yeah, we see it in our toy collecting. People complain. You see it in the comic book. People complain. Whatever.
Yeah, but you've got to remember.
Yes.
That it is not your job to satisfy them.
Yes, right.
Especially since they can't be satisfied. It doesn't matter. You could do what they say, and they'll still find something to say about it.
Those people are miserable, and if you know them, you're going to just, your whole day, you can have the best day in the world right now. I mean, like, you woke up, and everything is just great, and then you run into them, and 5 minutes later, you want to hang yourself, you know? Yeah, but that's how that person is. They're always like that.
On, what is it, Family Guy, Buzz Killington. There's a character called Buzz Killington, and they'll all be having a party, and there's all this noise and music and everything, and then he walks in the room, and then the whole place goes like dead silent. You can hear crickets, and it was like, oh, hey, Buzz, oh, look at the time, and then everybody starts marching out the door, and he's standing there by himself.
Oh man, I knew a guy like that. I worked with that guy. It didn't matter what you did. You could say, man, it's a pretty day. It was storming all last week, and now the sky is out. You know, the sky is blue. Oh, man, it's too hot. It's like, oh, shut up, guys.
Yeah. But again, bottom line, man. It's your hobby.
Yes.
It's your enjoyment.
It's your money.
Your time, your effort, your emotion that you're putting into your hobby. You do it however you want to do it, whatever makes you happy. Slabbing versus keeping it loose or doing a combination. There's pros and cons to all of it. So it really boils down to, and there's no logical formula.
Yeah.
So you can't sit there and, I'll make a pro and con list and I will decide if I want to do this and that. No, it's just personal preference.
It is.
It really just boils down to personal preference and how you want to do it. But you remember we saw that one guy, I forget his name. He must have 1 million comic books, and he's got them archived like in a filing system.
Yeah.
It's like folders, and they're in sleeves in a folder. They're not even done like this.
Don Rosa.
Is it the Rosa collection? Yeah, because he sold a ton of stuff, heritage auctions a while back.
Yeah, but still got 1 million books.
Yeah, he does, and they're in files with a label on it,
and to tell you what's in that file.
So, because some of those old heritage collections, the majority of them aren't even bagged and boarded. This is something people didn't even start doing until somewhere around the mid '80s, really.
Yeah.
You know, thinking back, people weren't bagging and boarding. They just stack them and put them in a folder, or sometimes they would get like a binder. Yeah, a binder with those clear sleeves that you put a piece of paper in, and they put the book down in there. They weren't doing all this. So this is where we started getting anal about it, because we wanted to protect the books because they started being worth something.
Yeah.
Remember when the first Overstreet came out, and I think they said that, I forget the number. I could be, just paraphrasing here. I think in the original Overstreet guide, they put Action Comics #1 in a high grade at like around $3,000 or something, and people were like, "You're out of your mind! $3,000 for a comic?" But then they were right, and that value has only continued to increase.
Yeah.
Which is where all of this comes from: the bags and the boards and the cleaning and pressing and restoration and slabbing and all the rest of that is born up out of the fact that it suddenly people looked around and realized, oh, this stuff's actually worth quite a bit, some of it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, some of it not so much.
And you want to protect your investment.
Yeah, and that's anything that you have. You want to protect it. You want to take the steps, the necessary steps. You want to keep it clean. You want to keep it in a climate controlled area.
Yeah.
You want to keep it free from bugs and rodents. You don't want your cat and dog licking on it and pushing it down. You don't want your kids to come and just rip through your whole collection area.
Yeah. Even you can see right here, I've got these in. I've got this stuff in clamshells. The action figures reaching over here. See.
Yeah.
Just to keep it safe. I don't want anything else to happen to it. This is already in really excellent condition. I would like it to stay that way. So I bought a clamshell for it.
Yeah, you want to protect the stuff that you have, your investment. You want to protect it, and you want to make sure that if a day comes and you had to sell it, that you can get the max for it.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get the max for it by just throwing it in any old box.
Yeah.
In no bag, no board, or you got your toys just thrown in a tote. You want to do your best. So you treat it like you treat this like it's Action Comic #1.
Yeah.
Treat all of your books like it's Action Comic #1 or Spider-Man #1 or Thor #1 or whatever. You treat them like that, and then one day they might actually be that much, worth that much.
Yeah. So, thoughts? I mean, do you slab? Are you against it, or are you a combination hobbyist like we are? Let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you got something out of it. We hope that you did. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you're new, all of that good stuff. Check out some of the other videos. We don't just do comic discussions. We're all in nostalgia over here. We talk about a lot of nostalgic related hobbies and content. And if that's it, then what more can we say? But thanks for watching. Oh, there she goes. She knows we're done. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon.